Hello, 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 Chris, Matt, Natalia. Welcome to the Facts of Life. Um, I know you very well, but for listeners of Facts of Life that do not, would you all please introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Kris Delmhorst, and I am in Western Massachusetts, 10 miles down the road from Erock.
I know.
Little house.
That's so fun. I'm Natalia Zukerman, and I'm in the Hudson Valley, about 2 hours from Iraq. And
I am Matt.
Katie.
Oh, I am Matt Sever, and I perform as Matt the electrician. And I am right now in Corvallis, Oregon. I many miles from everybody, uh, but I live in Austin, Texas.
But shortly to all of us be no miles apart because we are going to do a tour together in July. That is based on this thing that we all do together called the game, which Matt the electrician started. So, why, Matt? How did the game start?
Well, I have been in a game. I am still in another game that is run by a different songwriter out of Austin, Texas, named Bob Schneider, and he's done this game for almost 30 years now. Um, and so I've been a part of that maybe 25 years. And every week, Bob sends out a prompt in an email to a bunch of songwriters from all over the world, and it's a title. It's called the title game, and I don't know where he gets his words, but he sends these words out. It's a couple words or a phrase, and you have a week to write the song, record it, send it back to everyone in the group. And in Bob's game, if you don't send a song in, you get kicked out.
How many people are in Bob's game?
Well, the thing with Bob's game is he has multiple lists. So he's playing with everybody, but I might be in a list with 8 people or 20 people. And at various times I've been in different versions of it. So maybe there's 30 or 40 at any given time, but he has multiple lists. So because there are celebrity writers in there that maybe don't want to be in the 25-person group, and so they're in like a 4-person group, that sort of thing.
So your game is not that complicated.
No, no,
Can you
and
explain? Can you explain how your game works?
well, at some point during this, I was sitting around a fire at a music festival, and was somebody asked me about this game, and so I was telling them about Bob's game, and it was a guy from Massachusetts, Brian
Oh,
something.
Brian.
Brian.
We
Yeah,
don't
you
know
know Brian.
Brian.
Yeah, we know
Brian.
Brian.
Yeah.
Love
So a
it.
guy named Brian who was very intrigued by this whole idea of the game, and so he kept asking me about it the weekend we were there, and then when I got home, he emailed me and said, "I really want to start a game, but I don't understand it." And I said, "Well, it's very simple. You just start it. You just email your friends, and then you send some words, and there you go." And he said, I don't understand. I can't do it myself. Would you do it?" And I said, "No, you start a game. I'm in a game." But he really like kind of like bothered me about it for a while. And so finally I said, "Sure, I'll start." He said, "I'm going to bring some Massachusetts people along, and if you'll start the game." So I started a game, and he actually brought Chris Delmhorst along and a few other
It was
Oh, so
folks.
Brian
wait.
Webb. He's a Rhode Island
Oh,
guy.
okay. I was
That's how
gonna
he threw me
say.
off.
So now we know which Brian it was.
Yeah.
Typical Brian.
And
Oh, it's coming
I
back to
don't
me
mean to
now.
throw, I don't mean to throw him under the bus, but
Well, you already
basically
had a game.
he begged me to start this game. I did, and then he maybe turned in the first song, and then he disappeared completely.
Yeah.
Okay. So what year do you think this was?
Probably 2010, 11, or 12, because I was touring Europe at the time. That was where I met him,
I think it
and
was 12.
okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
So maybe 2012, right? Natalia, when did you get in on the game and how?
I think okay, that situates me better because I'm like, what day is it? I think around 2014, 2015, because it was Glenn Phillips, I think, who pulled me in, and then he left or something. Or no, Willie
Occasionally shows
Porter.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, and I got sort of in. I mean, I was so psyched, and then but all of them left, and I think you too, Iraq. Like you came in for a second and then left.
I would. Yeah. I think I either I don't know which of the three of you brought me in. I know I'd heard about it, and I looked up. My earliest game song I can find is 2014.
So I think it was 2014. That's when I was touring around with Glenn a lot too. So
Yeah.
that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So Matt sends the prompt Sunday-ish, and Friday night midnight is the when your email box starts filling up with these MP3s of songs. Matt, where do the prompts come from?
I just get them out of books. Like any book, I'll just pick up a book and start leafing through. And I'm just looking for words, looking for something to catch my eye. And for me, it's important not to think about it too hard. Like I don't want to start playing thematic games with the words that I see. Like, oh, that would be fun for me to write a song about. Like the idea is to kind of surprise myself. So I usually will grab a word and then continue to flip and grab another word. So ideally maybe some disparate things or some juxtaposition that comes out of it. But sometimes, occasionally, I will just think of something in my head and go, "Yeah, that's absolutely that's the title for the week."
I'm gonna read some random ones just so people have an idea of the kind of things that Matt picks, or finds. Let's say finds. Bitten by the bug, departure gate, fever of my distance. I'm really just going through. We have like 100 of these in a document. Letters to the dog, original condition. Shatterproof glass, showered into order. I have a specific memory of that one. Summer school, vertical horizons, not the band, but the prompt. We took a detour, wooden boxes. We have a shared doc here that has like 67 prompts in it. But we must be up in the hundreds after all these years. Matt, do you ever miss a week? I actually can't recall you missing a week.
I mean, I missed yesterday or when
You missed like 2.
We all missed yesterday.
Oh, yeah, well, we did all miss yesterday. It's true.
Yay.
so that is, I mean, that's the key difference with Bob's game and my game was, I just didn't, I like having the discipline of, or the sort of Damocles hanging over my head of getting kicked out. But at the same time, when I started my version, it became quickly apparent, starting with Brian, that not everybody was going to participate. And so it died a couple times. Like it would go for a bit and then really nobody was turning anything in. And so it would kind of disappear. And then somebody would poke me and go, "Hey, would you restart this?" And I go, "Yeah, sure. Okay." And so I think over the years, I felt better about kind of having that. And for me, especially because I had this other thing that I was super accountable to, I thought, well, it's nice to have a less accountable version of this where nobody is feeling, that much pressure. I do
occasionally,
think
I was going to say occasionally you do threaten occasionally,
but
you
And
haven't.
in the beginning, the early days, it was 3 strikes and you're out.
Oh, really?
Remember? And then you could get back in, but you had to grovel a little bit. And I definitely had to grovel a couple of times. And that was kind of a nice amount of pressure.
Yeah.
That was good. I mean, I can understand not wanting to be the guy who has to kick people out, but
Right.
yeah, it's hard to find the sweet spot of pressure.
It is. And I will say also, like, Bob's game is not communicative on any level. Like the idea that there would be a Zoom full of people in his game talking about it is ridiculous. And again, I think there's good and bad to that, but there's no communication in that game. There's definitely no song analysis.
And
whatsoever.
would you call it like there's like no camaraderie in it? Because I actually feel a great sense of camaraderie to like the people in the game, even if they're people I don't see very often.
Yeah.
And during the pandemic, I will say like I think the 4 of us might actually have done a pandemic show where we played songs that I know I did some with game people. I don't remember which combinations.
We did some. You did it was a virtual folk alliance, I think.
Yeah, so it was some of that has happened, but also there was like a regular Zoom that Matt was running during just like a camaraderie, like, let's all be whatever together Zoom.
Yeah, I like that.
So that I like that. It's kind of one of my longer term intimate relationships, frankly. Let's get back to the writing because I'm curious about this because these are things I've never gotten to ask you guys, and like, to be frank, like I don't listen to everybody's song every week. Like and especially if it's a week that I didn't send something in, I might be less. But like I will say that like because you guys are my three closest friends and my three longest friends in the group, like I do like, oh, what did Natalia do this week? What did Kris do this week? If I'm gonna cherry pick, I do like cherry pick you guys only because our relationships are so long and I know your work so intimately. So I'm always interested in like what half-assed thing did they send this week? But I want to ask you this, Natalia, first, if you would, like, how do you think about the prompt? Like, what does the prompt do or mean to you or for you?
Well, I love actually you've really influenced me because I know you put it in your calendar and then you just
I
like
do,
think
yeah.
about
I
it.
put it in the calendar for Friday afternoon. I'm someone that does. I give myself 1 hour on Friday afternoon, and the little calendar thing says "do it now," and then I don't. But sometimes I do, and so I've been looking at it all week. But anyway,
Mm.
how do you do it?
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's changed over the years. I've been like intermittently more involved, but so I definitely look at the email when it comes in. So I'll read it and it'll either stick in there or it won't. Something I'm thinking about kind of all week, and usually Friday. I'm like, oh, should I do it? Should I not do it? Sometimes it's I don't it's peer pressure. It's just like, oh, when your inbox does start filling up, I'll listen to one or two maybe and be like, oh, that's awesome. Maybe I should try it. And then there was periods of time where I just challenged myself. I gave myself a time limit of 10, 15, 20, up to an hour of like, I'm just going to do it and do whatever you get what you get and you don't get upset kind of thing. And so various degrees of involvement with my
Are you
skill
looking at the
set.
prompt and you're thinking like, oh, this is the title? Are you looking at the prompt thinking, I'm sure it changes, but like, are you thinking like, this sounds like the end of a line? Or KD, what do you think when you look at that prompt?
I'm definitely not thinking of it as the title, and I'm hoping it's not the title, kind of, I guess. Um, I think what I do is I kind of like when we get the prompt, I sort of implant it in my mind, and then hope there's sort of some like viral activity that happens in there, and then it starts to like spread and turn into something over the course of the week, because I'm definitely not going to work on it until the day it's due, whatever day, which used to be Wednesday and it's now Friday. And so I think to me, I'm mostly responding to I don't know. I think of it the way I always think about this and talk about it is like it's like I take the prompt, I stick it on a hook, and I send it down into like the deepest part of the pond, and then I just hope that something comes up on it when I pull it back up. So either like the rhythm of it or the whatever like image it conjures up, I hope that that kind of like finds something else that attaches to it or whatever. So for me, it's very, I mean, I even without a prompt, I usually don't know what the hell I'm doing when I'm writing a song, but especially with these songs, I'm just kind of like blindly groping towards something that feels like it has some kind of energy in it or something interesting, and then try to follow that.
Matt, do you think about your prompts differently than Bob's prompts? Are you literally doing 2 songs a week?
Yeah, except because my group is more relaxed, I feel like I can skip mine sometimes.
Do you double up?
You
Do you send
hardly ever
Bob?
do though.
Yeah, do you double up and send the Bob song to us?
Sometimes I have done that. When I usually do that, um, it requires a lot of pre-thought because his is Tuesdays and mine is Fridays, and I really have to like actually think about it ahead of time, which is asking a lot of me. And so I have done it occasionally. I couldn't tell you which ones they are. I mean, if one popped up on like my voice memos and I went, "Oh yeah, I recognize two of these words," or I mean, it is funny how I will forget the prompts completely. Like I send them, I really do try to trick myself into like, boom, that's the prompt. I send it, and 3 days later, like Raina Rose or somebody who texts me directly will go, "Hey, what's the prompt?" I'm like, "I don't know. It's in your email." Like I have no clue, and I do not look until like 11:47 on Friday, sitting in front of the TV, and I'm like, "Oh crap, I got to write a song." Um, and then I'm just doing it on the couch and throwing it into the voice memo, which is again not the way that the thing about the Bob group I will again point out is that there's a lot of guys in there that do more extensive recording, and some of that is just because that's their setup at their house. And I don't know if you all remember, there was an era where Jossie Adams joined the group, and it was like, oh crap,
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
we're all
No,
doing
she
real
was.
recordings now.
Yeah.
Fully produced.
Yeah, well, she was
Yeah.
like vocal stacking and like
Everything.
and doing stuff. But I mean, I used one of the first runs of the game because I'll challenge myself to do a certain amount of weeks at a time. So I'll be like, okay, I'm going to do 10 weeks or I'm going to do 15 weeks, and I try to do that like once a year. And that's kind of been my strategy with it. But I remember one of those times I used it as a chance for me to learn about Logic
Right.
or
I
GarageBand.
recall that era.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it was really helpful. And
Beats.
then that little beats, and now I put a little beat on my phone and like do it just to do it like that. But I'm so curious, like this is for any of y'all to answer, but like where do these game songs fit in the context of your overall writing? Like I know all of us these songs have ended up on our records, like in various ways of revision, or I mean, I can't think of a game song of mine that went exactly as it went into the game and then went right on the record. There's always some revision in between. But like, where do these songs fit for y'all in your bigger pile of things you write?
I think if I'm gonna do a run of shows, I have them all in my iTunes in a folder, and so I'll just put them on shuffle and be like, oh, that one's not horrible. Like maybe I'll take it out and brush it off and see if it wants to get, a haircut. And certainly when making a record, I mean, some of them, when you write something, you're like, that might be a keeper, but usually not with these. They're just little sketches. But there's enough chewiness there to like take it and make something with it. But sometimes I'm very lazy and it's just like, that's good enough. And then I'm playing it because it's new, and exciting to me. And it's like, that's not a song. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes I send it in when it's definitely not good enough.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, most of the time. Like, horrendous. And then I'm thinking like, oh my God, like of all of you listening to it being like, wow, how far she's fallen. Like, are you okay?
We all get it because we're all doing that too.
KD, Matt, where do these fit in your...
I had actually a bunch of songs from the game that probably when I was writing them, I was like, this is pathetic, but I'm just like, have to turn this shit in. And then really like unchanged are on a record. Quite a few, which is like so crazy to me. And the last thing I would have ever expected. I think the first prompt ever, I think that I have the one when I joined the game was Blood Test, and that was the freaking title track of the next record that I put out. And I can't remember, that probably I worked on after the song game, but sometimes I don't. It's crazy. I mean, lately I've been just doing like a half a verse for if I'm do anything at all, so then that's obviously going to take some more work after. But yeah, I find that they, like on the one hand, I write a ton of songs that I wouldn't put on like a regular KD record, and I just in January recorded a bunch of or last January recorded a bunch of those songs for sort of a like different for funsies record.
It's your comedy record.
But yeah, mostly it's kind of amazing like how much they actually get into the main channel of my writing.
I mean, that's sort of the idea of these shows that we're going to do, right? Is like we're trying to find if there's any songs all four of us have written from the same prompt, which is currently I can identify one.
Oh no, really?
But there are no, it's cool. It's called Switch Shadows.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah. So if you guys have a demo of it, send it to me, because I might edit it and make it the audio, the opening song of this episode. Just because that might be the one that I could grab a little bit of each of the four of us doing it and edit into a thing.
I Switch Shadows is a co-write with my daughter Hazel, and she may or may not grant us permission.
Okay, well, please let me know if she wants me to speak to her agent about it, because
I'll put you in touch with her people.
Yeah, I'll have her people call my people, because my people are Elton John's people. Anyway, what was I gonna say?
Oh wait, I wanted to know if you remember your first prompt. I remember mine too. Was transient.
I remember mine
whales.
too. What was yours?
Transient whales.
Oh yeah.
Oh, nice.
Mine was.
I put whale sounds in it, of course.
Of course, yeah. Mine was Freeze the Sailor.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
My Freeze the Sailor made it onto a record, and my Switch Shadows. Transient Whales did not, but I think Glenn put it on.
Totally.
He really liked his version of that one.
Of your song?
No,
No,
transient.
Oh,
he
Yeah.
liked his Transient Wells
yeah.
ended up on the record. And I think my first prompt, although not in my game, but in Bob's game, my first prompt was tied down. I think it was tied down, and it ended up.
Tied or Tide?
Oh, well, I think it was supposed to be Tied, and I wrote a song called My Dog, and it ended up on a record.
Huh.
Um, yeah.
I actually have quite a few songs about my dog for the game, just
Oh,
because
nice.
it's like, what do I have on a Friday afternoon? And I can't remember the prompt was, but I wrote one about how my landlady's dogs bark a lot, something like that. So Natalia keeps their songs on like a playlist in iTunes. Mine are like in a little folder area in my Dropbox, just so I can like randomly search them. Matt, KD, do you guys keep them somewhere? Do you have a filing system?
Utter
If
chaos.
only.
I want to say real quick, I remember staying at your house years ago, Aaron,
Oh, my house.
in an
Yeah.
office room, and I remember thinking, "Oh my God, the level of organization." There were these
Yeah.
journals, and I
Oh,
remember
yeah.
just being
Yeah,
so
yeah.
jealous because there were years written on
Yeah.
the spines. And like I will sometimes sit with my voice memo, all of which are titled voice memo, and just like do this for like 2.5 hours trying to find, like guess what year it was that I wrote such and such a song. There's just yeah.
No, like I'm an archivist. Like I just like through and through am an archivist, and I've been using the same. I just ordered some new ones today. Canson, like heat pressed 7x10, since high school, and they are numbered and whatever.
I'm a tiny moleskin. But
Yes,
they're
look at you.
everywhere. But I know, like, from the look of this, I've had this one this is where those notes are going to be.
Let me ask you this one final thing about this. Do you think being in the game has changed your writing? If so, how? Like when you think about the writer you were in 2010 or 11, whenever this started, where you are now, like, do you think your writing has changed from the game?
So much. Like I would say not. I have no idea if it's changed the product, like the actual stuff I write, but the way that I approach being a songwriter has changed dramatically from being in the game. And I like when Natalia said that when whoever invited her in, she was psyched. Like I was definitely a little bit psyched, but mostly I was completely terrified, so freaking afraid of the game because before that I had felt kind of at the mercy of the process and like not really believed that I could sit down and write a song on purpose that would be worth anything at all. Like I was sort of felt like I had to wait for inspiration to strike. And so like to find out that in fact I could do that was like, I can't even really describe how much of a game changer for me, just in terms of how I approach my relationship with this craft of songwriting. So thanks,
Yeah.
Matt. Also,
Oh,
can I
yeah.
just say that the fact that you have another game, I don't think I've ever told you this, but it just makes me, I find that so comforting in the same way that like if I'm getting a massage, the whole time I'm hoping like, I really hope this person has a great massage person that they get one from.
Right, or that your therapist has a therapist.
Yeah, and it's like, it makes everything so good for me that you have the other game.
Wow, you're a very nice person. I'm just thinking, like, how expensive the massage is.
How much longer? How much longer?
In a funny, like perhaps perfect for Father's Day way, I think as a father that the idea is to not screw up your kids maybe 10% better than whatever your parents did to you and on and on and on. Like I do feel like it's this baby step evolutionary process, right? And the song games to me work similarly where Bob was like a kind of a harsh taskmaster, still is. It's very, the game is very like dark in a way and kind of and very it's always been very masculine and very I'm not even going to use any of the words that he would use to kind of if I would complain this is hard or something but I will say that his game and his approach to it taught me to not be precious about songwriting. And he specifically said there was one day after I'd been in the group for a couple of weeks maybe, and he said, how's this week going? You know, because back then we would spend more than one day or 10 minutes writing the song. And I said, oh, I don't know, man, this prompt is kind of hard. And he just looked at me like I was insane. And he was like, I mean, there's no hard prompt. There's just a prompt. You just do the thing. You just do the thing. Like, it was at once kind of harsh, but also Buddhist. Just like there's no difference in any of it. There's no thinking about it. Just chop wood, carry water. But he also said, sounds like you're trying to write a good song.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, yeah, I mean, well, of course. And he goes, yeah, you never do that. You never try to write a good song. You just write a song. And the process, that's what it really taught me. But I felt like when I started my own game, I was like, I'm going to be a little kinder and gentler than my own song daddy. Like, I want my song children to feel like just hugged a little bit, you know?
I do remember a period of time, maybe it comes and goes, where like you will give feedback every once in a while, which is an word, usually like good one or something like that. But like
that's very
it's true. I have got.
When you would get one, talk about daddy issues.
Yeah,
would be like,
I
oh my
know.
God, he likes it.
Well,
Matt thought that was a good
I
one.
got approval.
listen, in the Bob game, there is zero, like I said, zero communication, except there is a unwritten rule that is, you know, you don't say anything unless you have something not just nice to say, but exceptional. And the couple of times, it's in 25 years, there is a Grammy award-winning #1 hit writing songwriter that we all kind of know, that I'm not going to name drop because it's silly, but who is in the group for 25 years. I don't know him personally. We've never spoken a word other than 2 times he has written back like, whoa, rad, or good one.
Do you frame it?
Oh, I mean, totally. It means the world because you know that in the group, nobody's going to say anything unless
That's
it's
true.
real.
I think about that when I think about like what songs I'm going to toss into the group, because every once in a while, like something I'm working on for the game, I use it sometimes for like outside projects, you know? And so sometimes there are songs that actually do have a little bit of stakes to them. And so I've used it a couple of times for things that are like super personal. And I'm like, you know what? I'm actually not going to toss that into the game because this is actually something where I do actually need like somebody to say something about it. So I've protected a few little kittens that way by not doing that. Natalia, how's your writing changed, you
Just
think?
drown those kittens.
Here's a sack and an iron.
So dark. My writing's just changed. I think I really just relate to what Kris was saying, just this non-preciousness of it was this, my art and my muse and this incredible pride that the lighting had to be right and all these things. Now it's just like get her did. And especially in my own experience of like, I think the years where I was co-running a songwriting organization with children and I was writing songs all day with like 2nd through 6th graders and they were churning out like unbelievably genius stuff. And I was like, okay. Friday would roll around and I would think, if I can do it with them. In some ways I got lazy because there were some techniques with the kids in particular that rhyme scheme stuff that I just, or even using like Master Writer or things, these tools that I got a little bit lazy with. And now I teach songwriting and I've always taught like at workshops and stuff, but I'm teaching at a university, which is like ridiculous because I don't know what the hell I'm doing at all. But I guess, at a certain point, it's like, okay, I know these rules. So again, if I'm teaching it all the time, I feel responsible to keep up the ability to do it. And if you don't do it a lot, it gets really hard, like any other muscle, which is so annoying. Like, I just want to be like able to just put those shoes on and be like, yep, I got this. And it's just not like that. So I'm in one of those places again that I have not been writing. So just been doing a ton of other things. And I know it's always there for me, thank God. But you gotta got to keep at it. And so when I don't turn them in, I feel horrendously guilty, which is just like my Jewish, I don't know. It's great. Every Friday it's Shabbat, and I'm like, ugh, I didn't do the thing again. Religious. Yeah.
All right, y'all, here on the Facts of Life, we have a tradition of sending faxes. So we're going to send, this is going to be the most faxes that have ever been sent from the Facts of Life. So I want to ask each of you, this is a little bit like, we don't need long answers, short answers. When's the last time each of you sent a fax? Can you remember?
I don't know that I've ever sent one. I think from a hotel once, I needed to send a message, and that's how it went out. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember where, but I don't remember what it was. It was something.
Where was it?
It was at Sawyer Office Supply, which is here in Sheldon Falls, where I live. And have you been in there?
No.
It went away. It was awesome. It was classic. It was run by this old hippie couple with this giant German Shepherd, and it just had like sort of like 60s level progressive propaganda just all over everywhere, and it sold the weirdest shit. But that's where you had to go to send a fax. I did it a few times.
The first song that ever got placed in a movie, which is to say, also, to be fair about my phrasing of that, the only song that ever got placed in a movie. Plenty of like CW TV shows, but the only movie was because a friend of mine was the screenwriter from high school, and he put a song of mine, 2 songs in a movie. And I was working as an electrician at the time, and it was pre-cell phone, but I had a pager, and I had to he was paging me because this stuff had to be faxed, and I was in the tiny town of Johnson City, Texas, which is the home to Lyndon Baines Johnson and his wife, what's her name, Lady Bird.
Lady Bird.
And I had to go to this gas station to use the payphone to call him, and he was like, "This has to be faxed," and so I had to go. I had to go find the office, Kinko's, whatever, local thing at Johnson City, and I had to fax in my signatures on this stuff, and that was in 1999, I do believe.
Who wants to be the first to send their fax? We're going to fill out our cover sheets together. Should I pick one at random? Somebody really excited to send their fax? All right, KD, it's you.
Oh, crap. Oh, I forgot about the fax, and this is the kind of thing.
All right. I'm going to give you a break. You can think about it.
Okay,
Thank you. Natalia.
Okay.
So we're going to fill out the cover sheet together, right? So who is your fax to?
I just need to say, because it's so unfamiliar to me, when you sent it, I was like, how do I send a fax? You really send a fax?
I think some of y'all may have thought I meant to actually send.
I thought you did, because I'm very literal.
Yes, I could tell from your emails. No.
This morning, when you resent
guys, this
it,
is a liberatory future imagination exercise of sending a universal fax.
Okay.
Love it. So enjoy. Who are we sending it to, Natalia?
My grandma Shirley.
And what do you remember her number?
613 something.
Yeah.
617, I mean. 617.
617, right.
She was Boston. I probably still have it in here. I still have her voicemails.
Amazing. What day are we sending it?
Let's send it right now.
Okay, good. And how many pages including the cover sheet? This was always confusing.
It's just 1.
Okay, great.
Oh, wait, it's 2.
Two, including the cover sheet. Mm-hmm. Great. What's the subject line?
Hi, Grandma.
And these are just yes or no questions. Urgent?
Yeah.
Please reply?
Yes.
Confidential?
No.
Okay. What's your message to Aunt Shirley?
I just have to say, this is so fun, because I remembered her very first email to me was, it filled up the screen, and then it said, well, I'm at the bottom of the page. Gotta go, Grandma. She didn't know that if you just kept writing, it would just keep going. Oh, God. So I should say, my grandma be dead. She's been dead since 2018, but she was almost 104 years old.
I did meet your grandma once.
Did. Grandma Shirley. I want to know what she would, what would her sign say at the No Kings rally? She was such a good communist, pink lefty.
Grandma.
activist, and
All right.
I think about her a lot in that, she's missing out on these times, and she was such an amazing mind, political mind to talk to. So my question would be, what's your sign say, Grandma? And what should my next sign at my next rally? What do you want me to put on it?
That's amazing. Okay, here we go. We're going to send it.
Does it do the ear? Like AOL thing?
Yeah.
can
Don't
hear
worry.
it.
I'll put the actual fax sounds
Right,
in.
okay.
I will have to say, let me just say that the one email I got from my grandfather, who was born in 1920, it said, "Aaron, stop. This is email. Stop. Love, stop, Grandpa."
With the stop?
Never understood if he thought it was a joke or he literally thought he had to write stop like an old telegram. Like, I never, because he was not like a funny person, but like I can't tell. Anyway.
Oh, wait, and
All
this
right.
is important because it's Grandma, Gramma, because she didn't think she was grand enough to have the grand.
Oh, Shirley.
She was about
Will you
big.
bless us with just one snatch of what her voice sounded like?
So you're going on the road. How will any of you make any money? You won't. But you'll have a wonderful time.
Grandma.
Thank you, Grandma.
Oh my God.
Okay, Matt, let's send a fax. You ready to fill out the cover sheet?
Sure.
I can go if you want because
Are you feeling inspired?
well, I guess I'm sort of embarrassed because my grandma was who I was thinking of, but maybe that'll give Matt a chance to think of a non-grandma person.
Okay.
Got a person. It depends on if we want to end on a light note or a dark note. Let's just go.
Oh, we end on whatever note of the Facts of Life.
Yeah,
We do not like prescribe the notes. So let's do KD.
Okay, I'll
Let's
jump
fill
on my
out-
grandma too.
Yeah, we're gonna fill out the cover sheet together. So
I was thinking about it this morning because I was working out in the yard by this bush that I planted that's called a mock orange that I planted it because there was one in my grandma's yard in Brooklyn and it has this amazing smell it just makes me think of her, and that's why I planted it in my yard, and it just bloomed. And so I was out there and I was thinking of her, and then I forgot, and then anyway.
okay,
Can't
so
think fast enough to think of something that's not my grandma, so we're just going.
I mean, this is exactly what it's called. Facts of Life.
It's
This
the
is what we
Facts
do.
of
It's
Life.
Nostalgia Town, is what this podcast is. Okay, so who is it to? What's Grandma's name?
Erna Johnson.
Erna.
ERNA.
Oh, that's so good. Do you remember her number?
BU 44118, the old school New York.
That's incredible. And what day are we sending it?
Let's send it today.
Okay. And how many
I think
pages?
so. Yeah, let's send it today.
How many pages, including the cover sheet?
I think we can get it on one page plus cover sheet.
Great. So 2. And what's the subject line?
Good question. The subject line is, let's say, thanks.
All right. Is it urgent?
It's not urgent.
Please reply.
Yeah.
And is it confidential?
No.
All right. Let's hear your message to Erna.
Okay. My message is that, I have so many messages for her. My message is that, she knows this, so I wouldn't write this, but I will tell you that she, growing up, as her parents had just emigrated from Sweden, and her dad died in an accident, so her mom was raising these 4 kids single-handedly in New York, and my grandma was super duper kind of a brilliant person, and she got a scholarship to the U of Michigan. She couldn't go because she had to work her brothers through school because it was like that. So that's the main thing that I have always wanted to say thank you to her for. But in particular, I also want to tell her that just like the incredible array of women that came from that decision through her, because she had my mom and her sister, and then my mom had me and my sister, and then between the 3 of us, we have 3 girls now who are now going to college because they can. And so just to say thank you for that sacrifice that she made, not that she wanted to. And she had a good life too, even though she didn't get to go. Anyway, that's it.
Let's get that message to her right now.
Yeah.
All right. Message received, by the way. Erna and Shirley have texted back.
Excellent.
Said that they got them.
They're hanging out together,
Yeah,
probably.
they're like, fuck this fax thing. All right, Matt, who do you want to send a fax to?
I'm gonna send a fax to Rainbow Wilmoth.
All right, maybe that will become clearer. Let's fill out the cover sheet and then you can explain. Do you know Rainbow Wilmoth's number?
I mean, if my muscle memory works, the area code would have been 408-375. I think it's 8041, but I might have mangled that number in my brain over the years.
Well, listen, if the fax gets returned, we know it was the wrong
True.
number. How many pages, including the cover sheet?
Just one.
Okay, perfect. And subject line?
The subject line is what happened.
Okay, urgent?
Yeah.
Please reply.
Yeah.
Confidential.
No.
All right, what's your message to Rainbow?
Rainbow was an ex-girlfriend of mine, or a girlfriend of mine in high school, and also one of my best friends after that. And when we were all 23, she took her own life.
Oh.
But also maybe she didn't, and we don't know. There's no way to know. She likely did. But she ended up, off a cliff into the ocean in Hawaii. And, this is many, many years ago. And all of us that knew her, her family, all of her friends have gone through all sorts of, the grieving and the anger and all of the things that comes with suicide. But also, there really is like conjecture that she was just up in the middle of the night, and like she could have stumbled as easily as she could have taken her own life. There's things that could point to both things. And for my brain, no matter how many times I've worked through it and written songs about it and all of the things, I can't get past the mystery part. Like literally, I just want to know. I just want to know, like, did you just trip and fall, or was this like something that you actually did and you wanted to do?
That's beautiful. Let's send that to Rainbow.
Yeah.
Along with the love and care of her community. Right. So here it comes. These are all worthy faxes, y'all. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You want to send one, Rock?
Oh, no, I've already sent so many. But the collection
Making sure you're getting massage also.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. But the collection of, it's worth, if you have a chance, or maybe I'll collect them for everyone at some point. But the guests on Fax of Life over the years that have sent faxes, it's quite cool what people have chosen to do, because it's kind of a sweet little exercise. Thank you guys so much. I love you. We're going to have a great time on tour.